Looking for a checking account with no monthly requirements or service charge? People's State Bank's People's Checking Account is just what you're looking for. This account includes free debit card, online and mobile banking, bill pay, and much more at no cost to you. You heard that right. No cost to you. We're your local community bank ready to serve you. People's State Bank. Member FDIC.
24/7, 365. Myers Heating and Cooling is your trusted residential heating and cooling system service provider. Join Myers Comfort Club for peace of mind throughout the year and around the clock. Myers Heating and Cooling in Lancaster. Don't worry, we got this.
Check out Supps.com. Supps is Southwest Wisconsin's go-to supplement store. Find all your favorite supplement brands at the best prices from local people. Fuel your fitness journey. Supps.com, your go-to supplement store with locations in Fenimore and Dubuque.
Grow your business by enhancing your digital marketing efforts with Queen Bee Radio and Phase 3 Digital. We provide customized solutions based on your business's unique needs, including targeted advertising, website development, and search engine optimization. Contact us at 608-349-2000 or visit p3da.com/platbill to learn more.
This is a Queen Bee Radio High School sports presentation. Queen Bee Radio proudly brings you Grant Regional Health Center and People's State Bank coverage of high school sports. Presented by Myers Heating and Cooling and Wolf Construction. And sponsored by Claire Bank, Cuba City Family Dental, Culver's of Dubuque, Galena, and Platteville, Edward Jones representative Ben Reeves and Elena Reeves, Fuller's Milker Center, Nutrition World, the Peterson Agency, Raleigh Cheese, the Shoebox, and Tricor Insurance.
Good afternoon, softball fans, and welcome to Grant Regional Health Center and People's State Bank coverage of the Tim Slack Auction and Realty Softball Game of the Week, presented by Myers Heating and Cooling, Myers Home Comfort Store, and Wolf Construction on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. From Cronsage Park in Boscobel, the Cuba City Cubans, ranked 9th in Division 4, take on the Boscobel Bulldogs, ranked 3rd in Division 4 in Southwest Wisconsin Activities League softball. From the Wolf Construction broadcast table, I'm Steve Prestigard along with Tyler Dictanis, and this is one of those choose-your-own storyline games, whichever you prefer. Let's start with this. Boscobel comes into today with a 2-game lead over Cuba City, with, after today, 4 games left for the Bulldogs and the Cubans. That's one. Today is meeting number 1 between these two teams. Last year, of course, the Cubans and Bulldogs played 3 times, with co-champion Cuba City beating co-champion Boscobel in the sectional semifinal. And by the way, in the next few days, depending on what sectional you're in, the playoff pairings are set. So whatever way you look at it, this is a big game today.
It's huge in terms of the conference standings, and for Boscobel being in the front, having a 2-game lead right now heading into it, this is an opportunity for them to solidify themselves at the top of the conference, and for Cuba City as well to kind of see where they stack up heading into the postseason. Can they stay with the top and the likes of Boscobel with about a week and a half to go in the regular season, and the seedings, as you said, first seedings begin coming out on Wednesday, but Wednesday through Sunday is when the pairings will come out.
Time for the Raleigh Cheese pregame show, presented by Raleigh Cheese at the intersection of Highways 11 and 23 in the heart of Lafayette County.
Don't forget the cheese.
Now let's start with Megan Rogeman of Cuba City on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Raleigh Cheese pregame show on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. 3 games between Cuba City and Boscobel were huge last year. So you're just picking up where you left off right now, right?
Yep. I mean, this is a really tough conference this year. There's a lot of good teams, and, any night is going to be a battle for any play.
And in your particular case, your 2 games. Raleigh Cheese pregame show on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Cuba City and Boscobel is fall softball, joined by Cuba City coach Rogeman. Thanks. All 3 games between Cuba City and Boscobel were huge last year. So you're just picking up where you left off right now, right?
Yep, I mean, this Wall is a really tough conference this year. There's a lot of good teams, and, any night is going to be a battle for any two teams that are playing.
And in your particular case, you're 2 games back, but you're certainly not out of it because there's still games left. How do you feel like you guys are playing right now?
I think we're doing a good job. We're more confident at the plate. We're playing well defensively. So, again, it's anybody's night. If you go out and play fundamentally sound softball, it's going to be a good game.
When you guys are playing well, what is it that you guys are doing?
I think we've just got really good positive energy, throughout the entire team. Dugout, everybody's up, everybody's got that common goal and that drive and that focus. Okay.
What do you think is going to be required with Boscobel? They're on a good run. They haven't lost a game in the conference. Kind of white knuckle it to win on Friday over Fenimore. But from what you see, what's the challenge going to be to play the Bulldogs today?
Well, like it is. I mean, Boscobel's a really solid team, obviously. Grassel does a great job on the mound for them. So, it's important to try to get off to a good start. And runs are going to be hard to come by, I think, for both teams. So it's just trying to get on that scoreboard early and, stay strong defensively throughout the whole night.
Does that mean you kind of have to, if you get a runner out, you're going to try to, is this like a one-run, get the one run across strategy kind of thing? Or do you feel like you can still put together big innings?
Well, I think, our team is capable of putting together big innings, but, again, Greta does a great job, and they're solid behind her defensively, so runs are always hard to come by in this Wall.
The other thing that's interesting, of course, today is that you're playing again in a week.
Yep.
And it's possible that you could be playing again the next week or, maybe 2 weeks. Does that have an impact at all on today, or is it just one game at a time?
It's always our focus to take one game at a time. Games in the future don't matter except for the one that you're playing right now. So our focus is just one pitch, one game at a time.
Okay, thanks a lot. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Megan Roseman, the Cuba City coach, back with more in a moment on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Grand Regional Health Center and People's State Bank coverage of Tim Slack Auction and Realty's softball game of the week, presented by Myers Heating and Cooling, the Myers Home Comfort Store, and Wolf Construction on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. We did talk to Corey Grassel, the Boscobel coach. He gave us a very nice interview, and we don't have time to play it because they're about ready to start. So I guess go back to Friday if you want to hear some of his general comments about the season. Injury report brought to you by Russell Law Offices. If you've been injured, contact Russell Law Offices. Their experienced team of personal injury lawyers will fight for your rights and help you get the compensation you deserve. Visit RussellLawWI.com. Callers of the game presented by Cuba City Family Dental, Keeler Family Dental, and now open Darlington Family Dental. 3 convenient locations to serve your dental needs. As you can probably see from Aaron Knowles, Boscobel wearing a different outfit from Friday. They've got red pants and gray jerseys with red shoulders and red trim. Cuba City, meanwhile, wearing white jerseys with a black placket and black pants. Time now for the starting lineups presented by Fuller's Milker Center. See Fuller's complete hygiene line and options for your brand new dairy setup or existing parlor remodel. Fuller's in Lancaster and Richland Center, and at FullersMilkerCenter.com. Cuba City comes in at 11-2, 7-2, second place in the SWAL. 2 games behind Boscobel and a half game ahead of Mineral Point, and their starting lineup looks like this. Addie Schoff, the second baseman, will lead off. Summer Rogers, the third baseman, will bat second. Batting third is Josie Cruiser, the first baseman. Rachel Kraus, the left fielder, will bat cleanup. Batting fifth, Ella Vosberg, the shortstop. Hitting sixth is Brooklyn Dressler, the catcher. Batting seventh is Ayla Nolan, the center fielder. Batting eighth is pitcher Peyton Guile, and batting ninth is Lainey Rundy, who is the designated player. The first pitch is ticked foul. Rundy is batting for Trina Redfern. By the way, on that Russell Law Office's injury report, Redfern's starting in right field. She had been out for a week, but now she is ready to go. On the mound, of course, is Greta Grassel for Boscobel, and the next pitch is fouled off and quickly 2 strikes. Schoff on the season, .387 batting average, 1 home run, and 4 RBI. Grassel on the season, is 10-1, .34 ERA, .36 OPS. She's pitched now in 11 games, and that's called strike 3 for 1 out. Pitched in 11 games, 68 innings pitched, given up 18 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned runs, walked 5, and struck out 140 as of Friday. Here's Summer Rogers, the third baseman, and that's a rise ball for a strike. Rogers, 281 batting average, 1 home run, 8 RBIs. The rest of the defense for Boscobel, Aaron Knowles is the catcher. And the 0-1 pitch. Swing and miss, and it's 0-2. At first base is Grace Smith. Kenna Wallen is the second baseman. And there is strike 3. 2 away, just like that. Campbell Fitzgerald is the shortstop. At third base, Emma Hardy. The left fielder is Lila Glassbrenner. In center field is Kennedy Seeley, and in right field is Johnson. There's another strike, Kylie Johnson. Cruiser on the season, .355 batting average with 12 RBIs. She has also done some pitching a little bit. She's pitched in 1 game, 5 innings. That's a strike, and it's quickly 2 strikes. Shoebox Scoreboard presented by the Shoebox in Black Earth, the largest independent shoe store in the Midwest, also in the Swall today. Fenimore at Iowa Grant, Darlington at Southwestern, and Mineral Point is at Riverdale, and that is hit up the middle and dribbles through for a base hit. 2-out single for Cruiser. And she's aboard at first for the cleanup hitter, Rachel Krause, .280 batting average with 8 RBI. Boscobel comes in at 9-0 in the Swall. Cuba City at 7-2. Mineral Point 6-2. Iowa Grant 6-4. And after the loss Friday, Fenimore 5-4. So Boscobel's in front, and there's a called strike, but they haven't solved anything yet. They will not today, although they would sit in the driver's seat if they were able to come up with a win today.
Yeah, and you still have Mineral Point on the schedule as well, so a lot to be decided.
And the second Cuba City meeting, which is a week from tomorrow. In fact, counting today, they have 5 games between now and next Thursday. That's popped up on the infield, and that will be caught by the shortstop. A nice running catch there to end the inning. 1 hit, 1 left. After a half inning, Boscobel nothing, Cuba City coming to bat in the Fuller's Milker Center starting lineup, presented by Fuller's Milker Center. See Fuller's complete hygiene line and options for your brand new dairy setup or existing parlor remodel. Fuller's in Lancaster and Richland Center, and at Fuller'sMilkerCenter.com. Aaron Knowles, the catcher, who homered and then scored the tying run in the bottom of the 7th inning. She homered to lead off, and she will start, of course, and catch. Batting second will be Kenna Wallen, the second baseman. Greta Grassel, the pitcher, will bat third. Cozy Wetter, who drove in the winning runs, she is the designated player, and she will bat for Kennedy Seeley, the center fielder. Batting fifth is Lila Glassbrenner, and she's the left fielder. Batting sixth is Emma Hardy, who will play third base. Batting seventh is Campbell Fitzgerald, the shortstop. Batting eighth, Grace Smith, the first baseman, and batting ninth is Kylie Johnson, the right fielder. Knowles, as we mentioned, led off with a home run. Batting .385, .995 OPS, 1 home run and 8 RBIs as she takes a called strike. The defense, of course, Guile pitching. Peyton Guile, the junior, one of numerous juniors. That's high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Guile on the season, she has pitched, and I believe she has gotten all of the wins except possibly one. 9 games pitched, 52 innings, giving up 27 hits, 17 runs, just 4 earned. That's a strike, and it's 1-2. 15 walks and 79 strikeouts, which would be incredibly impressive were it not for Greta Grassel's numbers. Rest of the defense for Cuba City in a moment here. Swing and a miss, and that's strike 3, 1 out. Rest of the defense.
Walling up Grassel on deck.
Dressler is the catcher. Cruiser is at first. Schaff at second. Bosberg at short. Rogers at third. Kraus at left. Nolan is in center, and Redfern is in right field. Wallen took an 0 for 4, all by strikeout on Friday. That, believe it or not, as the first pitch is outside for ball 1, that was actually a good thing, because even though you don't want to strike out that many times, the worst thing that would have happened is for her to hit him with a double play and end the game. So she avoided that at least, and that paved the way for what happened afterwards. That's called strike 1-1. And for those who missed the game Friday, where were you? In the bottom of the 7th inning, trailing 4-3, 1-1 is outside, 2-1. With 1 out, Knowles walked. Of course, they didn't give her anything to hit because of the home run that led off the game Friday. Got another out, and so with 2 out, they intentionally walked Grassel for the second time that they intentionally walked her. Grassel walked all 4 times she was at the plate on Friday, and then, of course, Wetter made them pay for that by doubling to center field, driving in the tying and winning runs. And if you haven't seen it, go back to the Cuba City or to the Fenimore Boscobel game, also on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel.
That game had a little bit of everything.
It sure did.
It had home runs, a lot of great defense.
2-2, swing and a miss, 2 out. Let's see if Grassel gets anything to hit, because she got literally nothing to hit. The first 2 times she was up, they were nowhere near the strike zone, and then she got intentionally past the last 2 times she was up. 4 plate appearances, 0 at bats. Did score a run. Well, that's as close as she has gotten to a strike since Friday, but that was just outside for ball 1. No surprise why that is, I imagine, because Grassel coming into the game, 500 batting average, 1.894 OPS, 5 home runs, 14 RBI, and she pops it up, and it's caught by the second baseman, and that ends a 1-2-3 first inning. And after 1, no score. And today's game brought to you by Claire Bank with their 8 convenient locations in Southwest Wisconsin. Proud to support our community events. Claire Bank, where they say we can do that, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender. Doolittle's Pub and Eatery in Lancaster. Follow them on Facebook for daily lunch specials. Doolittle's on the Square in Lancaster. H&N Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical serving you in Fenimore, Lancaster, and Boscobel. Always on call, always the right call. H&N Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical serving Southwest Wisconsin 24/7 since 1958. And Anderson Weber Toyota in Dubuque, powering our audio stream. Anderson Weber Toyota in Dubuque, when you are ready. Well, the weather is beautiful. 76 degrees here in Boscobel. It is more windy than it was on Friday, and I am attempting to figure out what direction the wind is coming from. And of course, my phone refuses to, refuses to tell me. But according to my phone, it's blowing from the southeast, which is that way at 8 miles an hour. And I guess at the moment, the southeast part is correct. I'm not sure the miles per hour is. Seems a lot windier than that.
It is windy, but it is, again, a welcome wind with it being as hot as it is.
Ella Vosberg, 344 batting average with 11 RBI, leads off the second and takes a called, actually a sort of a swing and a strike. Had she held up, that would have been ball 1, but went around a bit too far. Grassel, as we said, 5 walks and 140 strikeouts. She had 2 outs in the first, or 2 strikeouts in the first. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Vosberg. Called strike 3, 1 out. That's a 3rd strikeout for Grassel. Brooklyn Dressler batting .250 with 6 RBIs. And swings and misses for strike 1. Boscobel, and this is one thing Corey Grassel mentioned, we did not have time to, as mentioned, play his interview. We slip it in between an inning, except that that's not going to work because it was too long. This is popped up. And the catch made by the first baseman Smith. 2 away in the top of the 2nd inning. But they have this game today. They have a non-conference game against River Ridge on Tuesday. They get Mineral Point for the 2nd time on Friday. Next Tuesday, actually I think next Monday, they play Southwestern, and then they have an unusual doubleheader next Tuesday. They play Cuba City, and then they play Darlington in Cuba City to make up an earlier rainout. And that kind of jams things through schedule-wise. Isla Nolan batting .464 with 2 RBI. Comes up with the bases empty and 2 out and no score. Called strike. Quickly 0-2. Correction, 1-2. Correction again, 0-2. I think I misheard. I didn't look at the scoreboard, you know. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Shoebox scoreboard presented by the Shoebox in Black Earth, the largest independent shoe store in the Midwest. We mentioned the SWAL schedule today. In the SWC in softball, Highland is at Lancaster, La Crosse Central at Prairie du Chien, and River Valley at Viroqua, and that's strike 3. 2 innings pitched, 7 batters faced 4 strikeouts. And after the 1-2-3 top of the 2nd, after 1.5, no score. And today's game brought to you by Community First Bank, for you in the communities where you live, work, and play. Experience for yourself the difference at Community First Bank, cfbank.com, member FDIC. Also, Myers Heating and Cooling, servicing Southwest Wisconsin since 1999. Myers Heating and Cooling, where they say, don't worry, we got this. Mountain City Bank's total line of credit allows you to use the equity in your home to do the things you want. Stop in at Mountain City Bank to apply. Offer subject to approval. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender. Learn more at mountaincitybank.com. 6 Rivers West today in softball. Benson Schulzberg is at Potosi Cassville, and that is in Cassville. Belmont is at River Ridge. Highland is at Lancaster. 6 Rivers East, Barneville at Judah Albany. Pecatonica at Monticello New Glarus. And in the Ridge and Valley, Wazeeka Steuben at Ithaca. Kickapoo at Lafarge. And Seneca's at DeSoto. By the way, I misspoke. Benson Schulzberg is playing Potosi Cassville in Potosi. In baseball today, in the SWC, Cuba City is at Prairie du Chien. River Valley is at Lakeside Lutheran. That's kind of a long trip on a Monday night. In the SWAL, Riverdale's at Darlington. Boscobel at Southwestern. Belleville at Mineral Point. Fenimore at Deerfield. Iowa Grande at Highland. And as mentioned, Cuba City at Prairie du Chien. Wetter, who had 3 RBIs, leads off in the bottom of the 2nd and takes high for ball 1. That is one of the, there's an old phrase in baseball, of course, which is that you never put the winning run intentionally at on base, and the pitch is hit foul, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Which is exactly what Fenimore did on Friday with putting Greta Grassel on base. First base was not open. That also moved Knowles to second, made her in scoring position, as that's fouled off, and it's 1-2, and it hit either it hit the microphone or it hit the backstop, which hit the microphone.
Yeah, going back to Friday, like you were mentioning, intentionally putting Grassel on base, I actually kind of liked that strategy just because you know how great of a hitter Greta Grassel is. So you want to neutralize her, make her beat you on the bases instead of at the plate. It's just that it ultimately backfired on Fenimore because Cozy Wetter came through.
And Wetter already had an RBI. She ended up with 3, including the game winner. And to no one's surprise, the tri-core turning point. And that's lined to short, and a nice play there by Vosberg. 1 out.
Glassburner up, Hardy on deck.
Other baseball today in the Six Rivers West, Benton at River Ridge, and Schulzburg Benton is playing Potosi Cassville in Cassville. Six Rivers East, Argyle Blackhawk at Pecatonica, and Barneville at Monticello Albany. And in the Ridge and Valley, Kickapoo, Lafarge, North Crawford at Weston, Seneca at DeSoto, Wazeeka Steuben is at Ithaca. And Glassbrenner fouls the first pitch off for strike 1. Glassbrenner, 241 batting average, 678 OPS, 2 RBIs. Yeah, that almost hit Glassbrenner. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Interesting that the better races are in softball than in baseball at this point in things. It's kind of funny that's the case because softball is, of course, a week later than baseball is. But not a whole lot has been solved in softball. That's low, 2 balls and a strike. Even in this conference, you have Boscobel with a 2-game lead over Cuba City and 2.5 over Mineral Point. But if Cuba City comes up with a win, then it gets a whole lot tighter. Called strike, 2-2. In the SWC, for instance, you have Prairie du Chien a half game up on Platteville and River Valley and a game and a half on Dodgeville. And Platteville and Dodgeville play tomorrow. 3-2. Hardy on deck. And in the Six Rivers West, Belmont with a half-game lead over Highland. The only loss for Highland was to Belmont, of course. And there's a walk. First base runner for the Bulldogs.
Hardy up, Fitzgerald on deck.
Hardy batting .200, 550 OPS with 3 RBIs. And let us see, I guess we will see here, if given what the pitchers' duel looks like, if these two teams are going to be playing some single, playing for 1 run basically, and coming in to run is Fritz. So Fritz will run for Hardy.
For Glassbrenner.
Or for Glassbrenner, excuse me. Yeah, that's a pinch runner because there is no designated player in this game for Boscobel. Meanwhile, a called strike to Hardy. One strike with 1 out. One ball, 1 strike.
You were talking about the conferences yet to be decided and how competitive it is. When you look at the rankings, how much respect is Southwest Wisconsin getting, especially in Division 5?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. You see in Division 5, Oakfield ranked number 1, Stevens Point Pacelli 2nd, Wazeeka Steuben 3rd, Wisconsin Rapids Assumption 4th, but Belmont 5th, Barneveld 7th, Highland 8th, and Hillsboro is 10th. And all of those teams, I think except for Hillsboro possibly, they're all in the same sectional, half of the sectional, including the only team out of the Ridge and Valley, Wazeeka Steuben. 3 balls, 2 strikes with 1 out. And as mentioned at the Open, Cuba City ranked 9th and Boscobel 3rd in Division 4. 3-2. Chopper, the throw to second, not in time. Hardy gets on a fielder's choice. Fritz moves to second. 2 aboard with 1 out, and here is Fitzgerald. 189 batting average, 529 OPS. looking for her first RBI of the season. This would be a good time if you're a Boscobel fan. No score, one away in the bottom of the second inning. First of two meetings in 8 days for these two teams. Foul off, one strike. Wazeeka Steuben has a 1.5 game lead on Ithaca in the Ridge and Valley. And Bardaville has a 2.5 game lead over Judah Albany. But if you look over in baseball, there are not very many good races. That's high, 1 ball, 1 strike. Platteville, for instance, is 4-0 in the SWC in baseball. Prairie du Chien and Dodgeville and Richland Center each at 3-3. Platteville's got some games to make up, but they are, as that's fouled off, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Boscobel, let's try that again. Platteville is on the way to an amazing trifecta if they're able to close it out. They won the SWC football title. They won the SWC boys basketball title, and they're on track. And that's popped up and fouled off.
Dangerous foul ball there.
Yeah, that looked like it was hit in an elevator. 2-2. But, Platteville has won the football title. Platteville going away won the boys basketball title, and right now they're going away with the baseball title.
I think the bigger thing for baseball right now, Steve, is that, all these games being rescheduled and playing so many back-to-back games. For baseball, it's all about pitching.
A swing and a miss for strike 3, 2 out. Very true.
Smith up, Johnson on deck.
I guess we'll see about Platteville's pitching depth, but it's easier to do that when you already have a significant lead in the conference. Mineral Point is 8-1. Riverdale 6-2. So is Darlington in the SWAL. Belmont is running away, as that's a strike to Smith. Belmont is running away with the Six Rivers West. Highland and River Ridge have 4 wins each, and that's called strike, and quickly 1 ball, 1 strike. But they have a 4-game lead already. Belmont does in the Six Rivers West. In Pecatonica, 9-1. Barneville 5-2 in the Six Rivers East. Fouled off, 1-2. And then you have undefeated Ithaca in the Ridge and Valley Conference. They have a lead over Wazeeka, or for DeSoto, who is 7-2. So the better races are the softball races, for whatever that's worth.
And again, for baseball, if you have to go to your third or fourth pitcher sometimes to have the arms to get through the games, sometimes the standings aren't exactly a strong indicator of who's actually good in this area.
But again, you got Platteville in front, you got Mineral Point in front, and Belmont in front, going away in the case of the Braves. 2 balls and a strike. We will have, by the way, speaking of baseball, we'll have Lancaster and Prairie du Chien coming up Thursday at 4:10 on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. That's low, and the bases are loaded.
Johnson up, Knowles on deck.
Fritz is at third, Hardy at second, and Smith at first. And here's Johnson, the 9th hitter. Johnson, 267 batting average, 850 OPS with 4 RBIs, and a golden opportunity here. No score, 2 out, bottom of the second inning. Big sway to miss, 1-1. Called strike, and it's 1-2. Two walks sandwiched around a fielder's choice has loaded the bases, but Guile 1 strike away from wriggling out. And she does. Foul tick, strike 3. Boscobel loads the bases, leaves them loaded without a run scored. And after 2 innings, no score. Cuba City with no runs or hits or errors. And Boscobel, no runs. Let me try that again. Cuba City, no runs, 1 hit, no errors. 1 runner left, and Boscobel zeros across. Well, wait. Finish what you were going to say. No runs, no hits, 3 no errors, 3 runners left. And today's game brought to you by Grant Regional Health Center's ortho team, Dr. Brad Binsfeld and Nate Soko, PAC. Provide exceptional care for sports-related injuries. Grant Regional Health Center, experience the difference. Russell Law Offices is here to assist as your local legal representation. Call for a consultation to discuss personal injury, estate planning, family law, criminal defense, probate administration, and more. Proudly serving Southern Wisconsin, Russell Law Offices. The Queen Bee Radio Sports SoundCloud page. Listen back to recordings of previous sportscasts anytime and on demand. SoundCloud.com/Queen Bee Radio Sports. We're also brought to you by Donnie's Tire and Auto in Dickeyville. Call the only hooker in town for 24-hour towing service at 568-3014. 568-3014. Your home for excellent car care. Donnie's Tire and Auto in Dickeyville. Jocelyn Guile, a pitcher. Peyton Guile, and she had the first pitch fouled off. She is batting, Peyton is, .250 with 2 RBIs this season. Fouls it off for strike 1. Wind is blowing from behind us as we sit here in the Wolf Construction broadcast booth. 1 ball, 1 strike, which means it's coming from the field, the softball field that its days are numbered, because in about a month they will start construction replacing the softball field with a baseball field. That's fouled off, and it's 1-2. And that is because the existing baseball field is getting gobbled up as part of the high school project over that direction. A ball and 2 strikes. Foul off, we'll do it again. Busy day here because over at the high school, over at the track, is a track meet. So I pulled up, and pulling out of the parking lot was a school bus from Belmont. And I'm like, am I in the right place? That is hit to left field for a base hit, second hit of the game for the Cubans. Guile leads off with a single. And here is Rundy, 2 for 7 as a hitter this year. Emily Wigman, meanwhile, is in as a courtesy runner for Guile at first base. Ready the 9th batter. Swing and a miss for strike 1. One thing that Corey Grassel mentioned in the game, or in the pregame that you didn't get to watch because we ran out of time, that's a swing and a miss. Quickly 2 strikes, is he felt the defense needs to play a lot better than they did on Friday. And it wasn't even, errors, because they had a couple of errors, but it was those things that wouldn't necessarily show up in the box score. That will show up as a strikeout, 1 away. And, the case in point was the top of the 6th inning. Runner at second, and Boscobel was up 3-1, and there was a strikeout, but Knowles dropped the ball. That was not where the problem was. The problem was that Knowles picked it up and threw to third trying to get the lead runner. That didn't work, and meanwhile the batter got to first base on a strikeout fielder's choice. 1-0 pitch. So that doesn't show up in the box score, but that directly led to what happened after that, which was the 2-run double that gave Fenimore the lead.
And there was that big hit to right field that helped Fenimore add a couple runs to their total, and it was a bad read by the right fielder. Ball went over her head. Had some runs coming in.
Base hit left field. And at second is Wigman. Second hit in the inning. And it's 2 aboard with 1 out.
Rogers up, Cruiser on deck.
Here is Rogers, who struck out back in the second inning. Before that, Schaff had struck out looking. No score, 1 out, top of the third inning. Boscobel 9-0 in the Swall. Cuba City 7-2, and watching from a distance, Mineral Point at 6-2. That's a bunt off the backstop for strike 1. So it's kind of that whole game Friday was kind of a case in the 6th and 7th inning of decisions that you make. The decision to go, to try to get the lead runner, where what you really ought to do is just get it out. Another bunt. That's a called strike. That's quickly 0-2. And then, of course, the decision in the bottom of the 7th to intentionally put on the winning run, which ended up being the winning run. The 0-2 pitch. Fouled off.
One of the things that Fenimore did really well against Greta Grassel on Friday night was that they had some really lengthy at-bats, sometimes 8 or 9 pitches, sometimes even more than that. But Cuba City trying to ambush some of these first pitches.
Swing and a miss. Took something off there. And 2 away.
Cruiser up, cross on deck.
And of course, anytime you face a pitcher like Greta Grassel, it feels like anytime you get a base runner on, the instinct is, what do we have to do to get that runner home?
Right. 6 strikeouts already for Grassel. And here is Cruiser, who singled in the first. And a called strike at the knees. Boscobel, of course, a very senior-laden team. They have 8 seniors on their roster. Cuba City, in contrast, 1 ball, 1 strike. Cuba City, a junior-dominated team. They only have, I think, 2 seniors on the roster. But as the late football coach George Allen once put it when he traded away all of his draft picks for players, the future is now. Swing and a miss. And it's 1-2. Two strikes, excuse me. 2 strikes with 2 out. And 2 aboard. And a pair of zeros on the scoreboard, and there's strike 3. 2 hits, 2 left. And after 2.5, no score. And today's game brought to you by Bytech Resource Management, a greener way. Bytech Resource Management of Monroe. Carry seamless gutters and overhead doors, Belmont, Prairie du Chien, and at carriesguttersanddoors.com. Sloan Implement, your official John Deere dealer in Bloomington, Cuba City, Montford, and at sloans.com. Also, People's State Bank for personal home, business, and ag loans. Visit one of their convenient area locations or visit peoplesfinancial.com. Bouse Electric, call Brad Adrian and Josh Busher at Bouse Electric, Lancaster and Fenimore, and Brian's Auto Body and Paint Specialists in Lancaster. That's the best place to take your car if you do something monumentally stupid, like drive your car through an automatic car wash before it's done, and the little thing that's spinning around goes right in front of you.
Speaking from experience, I assume?
Oh, I can't imagine. Asking for a friend? Or, right. Well, that wasn't a question, but.
Well, you know what's not stupid is liking and subscribing to our Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel, so that way you get notified of all the games that we have on our YouTube stream.
Back to the top of the order, and Knowles, who struck out in the first. Aaron Knowles, as we mentioned Friday, one of the interesting trends of catchers batting leadoff. And as we saw, they do not pinch run for her typically. 2 balls, no strikes. Of course, I don't know if I had a player who was batting .385, I might want to bat her leadoff also. 3-0. She took a 4-pitch walk in the bottom of the 7th inning with 1 out. And this after she had homered, so she's got the plate discipline to not just swing at anything. Here's a call. Oh! I think Knowles thought that was ball 4, but it is 3-1. And of course, if you're in the majors, you think you better swing at this next one, but she does swing, and it's down the first base line and out of play. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, the conventional wisdom is that you put your fastest base runner in that leadoff spot to get on and get around the bases. So I don't know if that's an indicator she's whether or not the fastest base runner for Boscobel, but she gets on base. The players behind her get her home.
Foul off, we'll do it again. 3-2. Well, your fastest base runner may not be your best hitter either. There's
true.
As you know, there's really two modes of what a leadoff hitter ought to be. 3-2. Well hit to center, but it'll stay in the ballpark and get caught in center field. 1 away.
Wallen up, Grassel on deck.
Wallen struck out in the 1st inning. The first is, as you pointed out, somebody who's got a high on-base percentage and speed. The second, of course, is to put your best average hitter there, whether or not that hitter runs very well or not. That's a called strike. And the prototype for that would be Wade Boggs, who was very slow, but an incredible hitter. Had like a, what was his mate? What was his hit? Is it ball 1 strike? I'm trying to remember. He batted .367 one year, I think, and his career batting average, I think, was .325. But he never stole very many bases. Foul off, and it's 1-2. But on the other hand, he, was very good at dumping balls off the Green Monster, opposite field.
They got hitting in that leadoff spot that gives you just more opportunities to have at bats. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Obviously, the leadoff batter gets more at bats than anybody. Another fly ball, this time, or a pop-up actually, on the infield. 2 away. Here's Grassel, who did just that, a pop-up on to second base in the 1st inning. No score, 2 out in the top of the 3rd.
The wind's starting to blow from left to right. Starting to factor into these high pop-ups and making it tough for the fielders to see where the ball is in the sun, too.
Ball 1. Grassel, of course, going to Mississippi State next year. And that's dumped down the left field line. And that is out of here. Grassel homers. For her 6th home run of the year, 15 RBIs, and it's 1-0 Boscobel. And you wonder why she got walked Friday 4 times?
Right.
Here's Wetter, who lined out to short in the 2nd inning.
Sits on deck.
And that is chopped to short. Long throw in time to end the inning. But Grassel's home run gives Boscobel a 1-0 lead after 3 innings. And we're brought to you by Claire Bank with their 8 locations in Southwest Wisconsin, 8 convenient locations. Proud supporter of our community events. Claire Bank, where they say we can do that. Member FDIC. And an equal housing lender. We're also brought to you by Doolittle's Pub and Eatery in Lancaster. Follow them on Facebook for daily lunch specials. Doolittle's on the Square in Lancaster. H&N Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, serving you in Fenimore, Lancaster, and Boscobel. Always on call, always the right call. H&N Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, serving Southwest Wisconsin 24/7 since 1958. 1-0 in favor of Belleville over Mineral Point in baseball. The score type was bigger than the name type. That's why.
Yeah.
That's on the Shoebox Scoreboard, presented by the Shoebox in Black Earth, the largest independent shoe store in the Midwest. Boscobel, 1 run, 1 hit. No errors. And they have not left anybody on base. Actually, that's not correct. They left 3 runners on base back in the second inning without getting any of them in. But they have the lead. Cuba City, no runs, 3 hits, no errors, and they have left 3 on base, excuse me. Ball 1 to Kraus, who popped a short in the first inning. A foul or hit foul. Ball to strike. We will have again Lancaster Prairie Machine Thursday, 4:10 start. Or is it a 4:40?
I think it's a 4:40, 5 o'clock first pitch.
On the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel.
Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates.
We can hope.
Don't want to jinx us.
Foul off 1 and 2. Then we will have the rematch, Belmont and Highland next week, next Tuesday. And before that, we will have Dodgeville and Cuba City in baseball next Monday. And then the playoffs start. That is hard to believe. That's low, and it's 2 and 2. One thing you did not hear during the Corey Grassel pregame interviews say that I said that the city meetings are Wednesday. Well, he then said theirs is Sunday. 3 balls, 2 strikes. So I guess basically the WIA says anytime between Wednesday and Sunday you could have your seating meeting for the half sectional, and they chose to do it Sunday because to get more games in, basically, which makes some sense. The 3-2 to Kraus. Foul off, will loot again. Because doing it on, there's going to be a lot of softball between Wednesday and a week from Thursday. Now, Boscobel has on its schedule a non-conference game on the 16th against Argyle Blackhawk. Obviously, they're figuring they're not going to have a first-round game. That would be a pretty good bet in their case. Ball 4. Kraus walks. That's the first walk given up by Grassel, and only the 6th of the season. Apparently we show up and she starts walking people. Imagine that.
And I thought they liked us here.
Vosburg struck out looking in the second inning. 1-0 Boscobel. And there's the bunt foul for strike 1.
Another subplot, with the number of games that these teams are playing down the home stretch of the season over the weekend. Cuba City's commencement was finished up, and they have a long-term project going on at the high school for renovations.
Popped up, and that will fortunately miss us. It found the concession stand roof. Yeah, that's got to be the earliest commencement I have ever heard of around this area. May 3rd.
Well, for what it's worth, Cuba City also started their school year in mid-August to have that. So it bit of a weird start and odd ending time for their school year. But now these players have opportunities to rest and really just focus in on softball.
Or they could or they could also practice as much as Megan Roseman wants to practice between now and whenever they have a day off. The next commencement is going to be Platteville, which is on the 17th. And that's early because they're usually the last one, but they have a construction project also, 2 balls, 2 strikes. In fact, that one's ongoing right now, but they want to get all the kids out and do the focused work between now and when school starts. We're at first, nobody out. And then Potosi is also that night on the 17th. That's low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Most everybody else, of course, is Memorial Day weekend from Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And Platteville's always was the last one, the Sunday after Memorial Day, but not this year. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. 1 away. And Kraus still at first.
No one on deck.
Dressler popped out to first in the second inning. 1-0 Boscobel on a Greta Grassel home run 1 inning ago. We will have the Peterson Agency halftime report in 2 more outs. That ball gets away, and Kraus is able to go to second on the passed ball. Now she's in scoring position. Now that's interesting, as you point out, about having school out. The converse of that, of course, as this is pop foul, hits the grass, not a car, or a seat, or a spectator, or
a computer. Yeah.
But the converse of that, of course, you always hear football coaches and fall sports coaches say they prefer the parts of the season when the kids are in school. 2 strikes, as opposed to the first couple of weeks when nobody's in school yet, but you're still playing football games. They prefer the routine of having kids in school. And the converse of that, obviously, is what takes place in the next couple of weeks as school gets out. Called strike 3, 2 away. As school gets out, but on the other hand, kids are still playing.
Well, of course, during the year, you kind of have your structured schedule. You know when the classes are and, where everyone's going to be. So there's, outside distractions and stuff you have to worry about when school isn't in session. But and if you have your players locked in.
That is popped to first to end the inning by Nolan. And again, Cuba City puts base runners on, but leaves them on, and we're halfway through. And it is Boscobel 1, Cuba City nothing, and it is time for the Peterson Agency halftime report presented by the Peterson Agency in Argyle. Brian Peterson specializes in home, farm, auto, and umbrella policies. Well, as far as scoring goes, that's pretty easy. Greta Grassel's home run of the 3rd inning. As far as base runners on, before that, Boscobel had bases loaded in the 2nd, but nobody scored. Cuba City has had base runners on in the 1st, 3rd, and 4th, but none of them have scored. And a lot of strikeouts. No surprise there, given who the 2 pitchers are.
Just speaks to say how tough it is to just get runs in the Swald. From top to bottom, this conference is pretty tough, and you have to be on your A game every game.
Today's game brought to you by Anderson Weber Toyota in Dubuque, powering our audio stream. Anderson Weber Toyota in Dubuque, when you are ready. And Community First Bank, for you in the communities where you live, work, and play. Experience for yourself the difference at Community First Bank, cfbank.com, member FDIC. And Myers Heating and Cooling, servicing Southwest Wisconsin since 1999. Myers Heating and Cooling, where they say, don't worry, we got this. Of course, this time of year, the HVAC guys it's pretty easy. You're not turning the air on yet at home, probably. Maybe in an office, and you don't really need the heat anymore. And everybody's happy about that, right?
We're in that weird time of year where you use the heat in the morning and the air conditioning in the afternoon.
Glass Sprinter walked in the 2nd inning and takes a called strike. Back to Guile, 1 away. Here's Hardy, who reached on a fielder's choice in the 2nd inning when Cuba City tried to throw out the pinch runner Fritz at 2nd and did not get her. Of course, Cuba City was able to wriggle out of the 2nd inning without giving up a run. to that point. But then Greta Grassel stepped up in the third. 1 strike. Fouled off at the plate. 2 strikes. 1 ball, 1 strike. The thing about Boscobel, of course, is softball. This is basically the zenith of Boscobel softball. 3 titles in a row and 3 trips to the sectional in a row. Fouled off, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. A team with 8 seniors, which means tick, 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 I guess. Although certainly there are good teams out there also who would like to. Fouled off the home plate umpire.
It's the second time that's happened to him.
I think that was a changeup, though, so it wasn't hit that hard. Strike 3, 2 away. Here's Fitzgerald, who struck out in the second inning. Guile now with 5 strikeouts. Strike 1. Again, we'll have Lancaster and Prairie du Chien Thursday for something on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. And I hope I don't have to repeat my epic, hope you heard the sarcasm in that, rain delay theater performance several years ago. I did a regional final game in baseball between Fenimore and Prairie du Chien. Of course, because our system does not allow us to go off the air and come back on the radio side, I had to do a 1-hour rain delay in the rain. It's to drop by the shortstop, and that'll be an infield single for Fitzgerald.
Smith up, Johnson on deck.
Just the second hit of the game for Boscobel. And here is Smith, who walked back in the second inning.
Yeah, Ella Vosberg at shortstop just had a hard time getting her glove on, a bit out of position. It was a low liner, but good job stopping it from getting it into the outfield.
That's a foul. And so it's 2 strikes to Smith. Smith did not hit on Friday. She was the designated player, or flex, if you will. And that's straight. That's 1 and 2, excuse me. 1 and 2 with 2 out. And Fitzgerald on the infield single at first base. 2 and 2. As the wind picks up, I suppose if Smith could hit a decent fly ball to right field, the wind might give that a push. 1 ball, 1 strike. The throw, the hammer picked off. And safe at second. So Fitzgerald is able to get to second. That gives her a stolen base. And now she is in scoring position for Smith with 2 away.
Yeah, scoreboard in the outfield is incorrect. It should be 2 balls, 2 strikes.
2-2. Strike 3. 1 hit, 1 left. And after 4 innings, Boscobel leading Cuba City 1-0. And today's game brought to you by Mount City Bank. Their total line of credit allows you to use the equity in your home to do the things you want. Stop in at Mount City Bank to apply. Offer subject to approval. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. Learn more at mountcitybank.com. And Grant Regional Health Center. Their ortho team, Dr. Brad Binsfeld and Nate Stokel PAC, provides exceptional care for sports-related injuries. Grant Regional Health Center, experience the difference. Having said that, I am very pleased to not have a sports-related injury this year, as opposed to the last couple of years. Actually, well, it wasn't even sports-related, but
it's sports-related because you do sports on the radio.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah. Sports-related.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's sports-inflicted.
Well, that would be interesting wording. Sports-inflicted injuries. Yeah. 8-9-1 batters in the top of the 5th inning. Boscobel 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and they have left 4 runners on base. Cuba City no runs, 3 hits, no errors, and they have left 4 runners on base. And that's a swing and a miss for strike 1 in a very fast-moving game.
Should mention our friend Jimmy Kuska, the Boscobel truther, checking in, saying that parking on the street all the way down by his residence.
How far does he live?
I don't know if we'll disclose that publicly on a YouTube stream, but yeah, looking in the outfield, I mean, you see cars line up all the way down and down the right field and left field lines. Fans in lawn chairs, at picnic tables.
1 ball, 2 strikes. I'm surprised he isn't here, although maybe he's over there at the track meet. Or he's watching us at the track meet.
As one can.
That's right. Or maybe he's watching tonight or tomorrow, or as one also can. That's it, foul.
Or he might be watching us on delay a couple hours from now. Who knows?
Right, yeah. The joys of YouTube. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Although I dare say we have the best view from where we're at.
We certainly do. You know, get a chance to work on the tan, such as it is. Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to move my arms enough so that it's not fence lines that are tanned on me.
Yeah. Well, the sun does move, so you got that. Fouled off again. Still 1-2. This is a great setting for a game, of course, because you've got the bluffs on either side of Highway 61 in the outfield. And the Wisconsin River is just that way.
Yeah, this is a beautiful park, beautiful setting.
Again fouled off, and again, Cuba City is extending the at-bats just as Fenimore did, as we noted on Friday. One other thing that's in this park, by the way, Cronsage Park, over to our right near the parking lot is the Southwest Wisconsin Fast Pitch Softball Hall of Fame. That is not caught. And so that'll be a base hit.
Grundy up, Schaff on deck.
For Guile. 4th hit of the game, and she is over at first to lead off. And is that Wigman again to pinch run?
Yeah, that's Emily Wigman at first. And again, at shortstop, it was number 12, Campbell Fitzgerald, just kind of took a bad read on that high infield hit. Again, the sun kind of factoring into this game as well on these high pitches.
Foul off.
You know?
I saw you flinch.
What do you do when a ball comes at you that fast, you know?
Well, I got a bear one of that because, you know, I was in the UW band in the 80s, of course. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, if you flinch when a puck hits the plexiglass in front of you, you will never hear the end of it. 1 strike. 1-1.
Well, again, body parts can heal, but the equipment, that's
well, there is that, yes. So you were actually about to dive over the computer, right? That was not flinching.
Yes, I am protecting our stream for the sake of our viewers.
That's right. Well, that makes sense. Here's the 1-1. Called strike, and it's 1-2. You don't want us, obviously, to be yanked off the air by some sort of technological problem caused by brute force against our computer and our camera.
Well, I'll tell you, those foul balls that go straight back behind the ump, right where our camera is, the camera lens just inside the fence line.
Swing and a miss for strike 3 for Rundy. 1 away in the top of the 5th with Boscobel leading 1-0. Back to the top of the order is Schaff. Struck out looking in the 1st, singled in the 3rd. but did not come in. Cuba City, all their base runners have been left, all 4 of them have been left on the bases and not having scored. Ball 1. Well, I got a story about foul balls and camera equipment. So when I was in college, I was an intern at Channel 27 in Madison, and I had the Sunday newsroom shift. That is popped off the infield and caught, and it's 2 out.
Rogers up, cruiser on deck.
Now Rogers, who struck out in the first and in the third. 1-0 Boscobel on the Greta Grassel home run back in the third inning. So I was in there one Sunday morning and nothing was really going on. So the reporter who was there, the weekend reporter, showed me where the blooper reel was. And this was that's a string of this for strike 1. Obviously, for those who don't know, a blooper reel is all of the things that didn't make the camera for one reason or another, or didn't make the air because of a flub or things that shouldn't have been said on the air, that sort of thing. That's high in 1 ball, 1 strike. One of them was the most perfect shot you've ever seen of a foul ball hit off a camera lens.
Ooh.
The cameraman was kind of between home and first, would be right over here, and 1 ball, 1 strike, fouled off, and it's 1-2. And the batter hit a ball, and you could see it on the screen as the ball went out of camera shot and then hit it right in the middle of the lens. Ooh. And the cameraman had a nice round bruise on his eye for a few weeks. That's strike 3. Rogers is called out looking. Cuba City gets a run, or gets a hit, but no runs, and leaves 1 left. And after 4.5, still Boscobel 1, Cuba City nothing. In our game today, brought to you by Russell Law Offices, here to assist you as your local legal representation. Call for a consultation to discuss personal injury, estate planning, family law, criminal defense, probate administration, more. Proudly serving Southern Wisconsin, Russell Law Offices. We're also brought to you by Claire Bank, with their 8 locations, 8 convenient locations in Southwest Wisconsin. Proud to support our community events. Claire Bank, where they say we can do that. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender. 1-0 Boscobel as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Man, we're going to be home by 7 o'clock at this rate to finish the newspaper. We will have the Culvers cool down afterward, and we hope to have the winning coach and maybe some winning players. And at this point in things, that may take longer than the game. We did start early, but we're really cruising along here at the bottom of the 5th inning. Wallen, Grassel, and Wetter for the Bulldogs. Wallen struck out in the first, popped to second in the third. Check swing, and that costs her a strike. But it was hilarious to see the ball kind of, come out of camera and then just at the last second come back in and punch the lens right in the middle. 1 ball, 1 strike. And as a matter of fact, it was damaged so badly they buried it at the the TV station. That's low, and it's 2-1. That was back in the old minicam days, and I remember those things because I used to use them in class, and they were not light. 2 balls and a strike. 3-1, excuse me. For some reason, I'm having a little trouble seeing those lights out there, but I believe one of them's out, isn't it? Maybe
it was out earlier.
That's ball 4. And Wallen walks.
Knowles up, Wallen on
Third walk given up by Guile. And now back to the order, and Knowles, excuse me, that was Johnson who walked. It's helpful if you write it down the right place. And there's a called strike. Johnson had struck out in the second, but now she is at first on the walk. Knowles struck out in the first and fly to center in the third. Fouled off. And 2 strikes to Knowles. We mentioned this on Friday, but Knowles, the all-time career leader in girls basketball scoring, having taken out the record of her oldest sister. That is well hit high up, but it is caught by the shortstop Vosberg and one away.
Wallen up, Grassel on deck.
Wallen struck out in the first and popped to second in the third, as I just said when I thought Wallen was at the plate instead of Knowles. 1-0 Boscobel on the Grassel home run, and she is on deck. There's the bunt. That'll move the runner along, a 5-3 putout. And here's Grassel, who, as we mentioned, homered back in the third inning, and that is the only run in the game. And here's a shock. She got intentionally walked. So first and second. Johnson at second. Grassel at first, and Wetter, who lined out to short in the second inning and grounded to short in the third. And she hits this one to third, where it's caught. And that quickly ends inning number 5. 1 walk, 1 left. Boscobel has left 5 on base, and our score after 5, Boscobel 1 and Cuba City 0. And today's game brought to you by Claire Bank with their 8 convenient locations in Southwest Wisconsin. Proud to support our community events. Claire Bank, where they say we can do that, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
Cubans 0. Do it for the Cubans. Cruiser, Kraus, Bosberg.
1 run, 2 hits, and Boscobel with 5 runners left on base. For Cuba City, no runs, 4 hits, and they have left 5 runners on base. We have had error-free softball so far.
Yeah, and I think now for Cuba City, it's just a matter of putting the ball in play. They've been able to get base runners on, like we said, just unable to bring them across home plate. And, you know, the 6th inning last week, this is where Fenimore kind of took the game over and gave Boscobel a run. And now for Cuba City, you know, Greta Grassel's been pitching quite a bit throughout the game. She might be worn down a little. Opportunity to pounce for the Cubans.
Grassel has 10 strikeouts and 1 walk and 4 hits given up through 5 innings.
I'm told that's a good ratio. Strikeouts to walks?
Oh, yeah. And a called strike. Well, her totals on the season now 6 walks and now 150 strikeouts.
Wow.
And it's quickly 0-2 on the foul off. I mean, that I have never heard of a number like that. That's like, well, you're the sports games guy. What would they be like?
Man.
MLB The Show with Sandy Koufax pitching to a Little League team or something like that?
Something like that.
Or Nolan Ryan?
Rookie mode, yeah. It's beginner level.
The 0-2. Pop foul. And out of play.
The fans of those bleachers over there didn't even flinch.
Well, either they're experienced or they didn't see it. Cuba City, by the way, goes to Southwestern Thursday, and as mentioned, tomorrow, Boscobel will host River Ridge in a non-conference game. Ooh, 1-2. That just missed. Let's see, Boscobel Ridge, would you call that the Battle of Highway 133? Or would that be Boscobel and Riverdale? Or would that be Potosi and Cassville? Or would that be swing and a miss for strikeout number 11 for Grassel, one away. Krause popped to short in the first inning, walked and stole, or actually went to second on a passed ball in the fourth, but was left there. 1-0 Boscobel. Greta Grassel's home run in the third has been it. And that's hit to short. And 2 out.
No, she's safe.
Or she did make it. So is that a hit or an error?
I'd say that's a hit. At least from my vantage point. Again, I'm looking directly into the sun down that first base side, so
that's the 5th hit that Grassel has given up. Yeah, that's the tying run at first base with 1 out. Here's Vosberg, who struck out looking in the second and struck out swinging in the fourth. Again, Cuba City's had the runners on, as that's a called strike, but they haven't been able to get them in. They have not had a runner past second base in the game. Yeah, if we have Erin Knowles on after the game, we're going to have to talk to her about, can you move over a little bit so we can see the plays at first? That's fouled off. I'm sure she'll accommodate us, right?
We have jobs to do too. So.
So as we mentioned, Sarah, her oldest sister, was the all-time leading scorer in girls basketball before Erin got the record, and before that would be their mother, Cheryl Knowles, formerly Cheryl Main. That's a swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. So we have a question to ask Erin, see if we get a chance either today or at some future point in the postseason. One and two with 1 out. And that is hit to center and drops for a base hit, and it's 2 aboard and 1 out. Krause to second. And now the tying and go-ahead runs on base with 1 out in the top of the 6th. Dressler popped to first in the second, struck out looking in the 4th. And again, the 6th inning, as it did Friday, is starting to make Boscobel fans a little worried.
Yeah, I've seen this movie before. Or at least it feels like we have.
2 hits in the inning so far. And a butt foul. One thing about Grassel, and this is between Friday and today, you notice that all of the fouls are off to the right side. There has been nothing pulled foul down the left field line in this game so far that I can remember anyway, which has a lot to say about the velocity that Grassel throws, the speed with which she throws. Because if they were getting around on her, they'd be hitting it foul down the third baseline, the righties anyway. This is pop foul down the first baseline and out of play. Johnson, the right fielder, unable to get to it, 1-2. So it's not like she is tired. You wouldn't think she's tired out based on that, because everything's been either hit behind the plate or foul down the right field line or first base line. But that turned out to be a little bit of a problem, obviously, in the top of the 6th inning on Friday. That is hit well to left. And it is caught. And the throw to third, not in time. So Dressler flies to left for the second out. But Krause is able to get to third. And Vosberg is able to get to second. So tying a go-ahead runs in scoring position with 2 out. And here is Nolan, who struck out in the second inning and then popped to first in the 4th. 1-0 Boscobel, 2 out, top of the 6th inning. And that's hit to short, dropped and picked up. And the throw to first, safe at first. And we are tied. That goes an infield hit? I believe it does.
I'd say so, yeah. The throw to first, I believe it just bobbled out of the glove of the first baseman, Grace Smith.
So Kraus scores. Vosburg is now at third, and we're tied at 1. And here's Guile, who fouls it off for strike 1. Guile is 2 for 2, singles in the 3rd and 5th. And Cuba City, after leaving runners on without scoring, has finally been able to get on the board. We're tied at 1.
And with 2 outs, too. That's huge.
Foul off again, 0-2. Again, the Bulldogs at 9-0 in the Swall. Cubans 7-2, and Mineral Point is 6-2. The Pointers are down the road at Riverdale. That's strike 3. Wow. So Grassl gets out of it, but 3 hits lead to a run. 2 runners left. And after 5.5, now we are tied at 1. And today's game brought to you by Doolittle's Pub and Eatery in Lancaster. Follow them on Facebook for daily lunch specials. Doolittle's on the Square in Lancaster. Five, 6, 7 batters, Glassbrenner, Hardy, and Fitzgerald for the Bulldogs, who are a collective, well, none of them have a hit. All 3 of them have been on base one way or another. Glassbrenner via the walk, and Hardy and Fitzgerald on fielder's choices. They were not able to score. The only Boscobel run in the game was Grassl's home run in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and that stood up until the top of the 6th inning happened again to Boscobel. Again, we'll have Lancaster and Prairie du Chien in baseball from Prairie on Thursday, 4:40 or so start on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. But next week, Dodgeville and Cuba City in baseball Monday, and Belmont and Highland in softball Tuesday. And then, believe it or not, the postseason starts Thursday.
Yeah, make sure to go to am1590wpvl.com for our full postseason schedule. Once the brackets come out, we'll determine our coverage, what station, and what potential streams we'll have.
And Mackenzie Fritz, who pinch ran in the 2nd inning, will hit here. And that's a called strike. Fritz on the season, 150 batting average, 470 OPS with 3 RBIs. So she will bat for Glassbrenner, who had walked and hit back to the pitcher. That's inside. 2 balls and a strike. Fouled off, and it's 2-2. Last year, of course, Boscobel and Cuba City shared the title. Cuba City got the higher seed and beat Boscobel 4-0 in the sectional semifinal. That's called strike 3. Fritz is retired. 1 away.
Fitzgerald on deck.
Here's Hardy, who reached on a fielder's choice in the 2nd and then struck out in the 4th. Chop foul at the plate. Boscobel they shared the title with, I believe, Iowa Grant 3 years ago, won it by themselves 2 years ago, and shared it with Cuba City last year. And they got to the sectional semifinal, called strike, and it's 0-2. Sectional final before losing to Horicon, and then sectional semifinal again last year. The 0-2. A very low strike 3. And Giles rolling now, and here's Fitzgerald, who struck out in the second and reached on an infield single in the 4th inning. It's tied at 1. That's ball 1. Called strike it, it's 1-1. Two and 1. You would think a right-handed hitter, if she could figure how to do it, would want to hit it to right because that's the direction the wind's blowing in right now. Fouled off, and it's 2-2. With 2 out. Popped up. And making the catch, the second baseman, Schaff. And a 1-2-3, bottom of the 6th inning. And our score, after 6, Cuba City 1, Boscobel 1 on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. We're brought to you by Claire Bank with our 8 convenient locations in Southwest Wisconsin. Proud to support our community events. Claire Bank, where they say we can do that. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender. Again, we'll have the Culver's cool down and the Tricor turning point, which I think it is pretty obvious that has not occurred yet.
Hasn't happened yet, and one of the things that we really haven't been talking about is how great of an outing Peyton Guile has had for Cuba City pitching today, and no real errors in this game by my count, and
nobody has gotten an error. Cuba City 1 run. 4 hits. Actually, that's not right. 7 hits. 1 run, 7 hits, no errors. And they so far have left 7 runners on base. And Boscobel, 1 run, 2 hits. They have not had an error. And they have left 5 runners on base. So we go to the 7th inning with the 9-1-2 batters, Randy Schaff and Rogers. And actually, we have a pinch hitter, Cameron Timmerman, will be the pinch hitter here in the top of the 7th inning. Timmerman 0 for 3 on the season. Takes a called strike.
Yeah, really, for Peyton Guile, outside of the home run by Greta Grassel, only 1 hit allowed.
Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. And her strikeout total has been up there also. Foul tip. I think I have her for 7 strikeouts in the game. Another 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Schaff up, Rogers on deck.
That is 11 strikeouts for Grassel. She has 1 walk in the game, but she has now given up a run in the 6th inning, and we're tied. And back to the top of the order, and Schaff, who struck out looking in the first, singled in the third, struck out in the fifth. And it takes a strike here. 8-9-1 batters for Boscobel in the bottom of the seventh inning. And that'll be Smith, Johnson, and Knowles, assuming no pinch hitters. They're due up, as the saying would go. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Aren't we glad we were able to get these games on YouTube again? Another classic in the making right here.
Chopped to short in the hole.
Safe.
And a base hit.
Rogers up, Cruiser on deck.
Infield single, the second of the game for Schaaf, and she is the go-ahead run at first. And here is Rogers, who has struck out in the first and the third and looking in the fifth. She is obviously, you would think anyway, going to try to bunt, but swings instead and takes a strike.
A lot of the hits that Cuba City's been able to put in play have been like knee level or below, and it's just been tough for the Boscobel fielders to field them cleanly.
That's a strike, and it's 0-2. Oh, 2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 2 away. And here's Cruiser, who singled in the first, struck out in the third and in the sixth. And the go-ahead run, Schaaf at first, but with 2 out at the top of the seventh inning, a 1-1 tie. Well hit. And it is out of here. A 2-run home run for Cruiser. And Cuba City takes the lead.
Cross up, Fosberg on deck.
And for Cruiser, that's her first home run of the year. She now has 14 RBIs. And Cuba City takes the lead 3-1 in the top of the seventh inning.
Wow.
Now Kraus, who popped to short in the first, walked in the fourth, and singled and scored the first run for Cuba City 1 inning ago.
And again with 2 outs.
And we have our obvious candidate for Tricor turning poise. That's grounded to short. And the throw in time. But all the runs, well, almost all of the runs have been on home runs in this game. And it is the 2-run home run by Cruiser in the top of the seventh. And it is Cuba City 3, Boscobel 1, headed to the bottom of the seventh inning. A pair of hits and no runners left. And again, the 8-9-1 batters, Smith, Johnson, and Knowles for the Bulldogs. Johnson struck out in the second, walked in the fifth. Before her, Smith walked in the second and struck out in the fourth. I guess we will see if Boscobel feels inclined to have somebody else hit. Maybe not, since they have had Smith and Johnson both get on via the walk. Well, Boscobel has not lost a game since the 5th of April when they got beat by Wazeeka Steuben 2-1. But They are 3 outs away from losing. Boscobel needs 2 to tie and 3 to win, and Cuba City needs 3 outs to get the win. Cubans with 2 losses, and they've all been in the conference, as that's low for ball 1. They got beat in their opener by Fenimore 3-1 on March 28th, and they got beat by Mineral Point 1-0 on April 25th. They came back and beat Mineral Point then last Tuesday 7-6. 1 ball, 1 strike. So the thing with the Cubans, obviously, is if they score, they can win, and they are 3 outs away from shrinking the margin to 1 game between themselves and the Bulldogs. I did not flinch.
I did. I very much did.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
I'm not afraid to admit that.
You were flinching on behalf of the computer, right? 1 and 2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 1 away, here's Johnson.
Johnson up, Knowles on deck.
Johnson again struck out in the 2nd and walked in the 5th. 3-1 Cuba City. 1 away, bottom of the 7th inning. Ball 1. Two and 0. Well, we know Knowles can hit it out because she did in the first inning on Friday, but for her to tie the game, Johnson has to get aboard. And that's fouled off, and it's 2 and 1. And again, these two teams meet again a week from tomorrow. Chop foul, and it's 2 and 2.
Yeah, Boscobel just has to put something in play here.
3 and 2. Knowles on deck.
Big spot for the freshman batter.
Fly ball and caught by the shortstop Vosberg, and Boscobel is down to its final
Knowles
out.
up, Wallen on deck.
Knowles struck out in the 1st, flied to center in the 3rd, popped to short in the 5th. 3-1 Cuba City, 2 out, bottom of the 7th. One ball, no strikes. Knowles on Friday with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th, walked on 4 pitches, and was one of the 2 runs that scored in the bottom of the 7th. And that's hit to short. Vosberg, and that's it. Cuba City comes up with a win, 3-1 over Boscobel on the cruiser home run in the top of the 7th inning, the 2-out home run, or the 2-run home run, which was also with 2 out. And so though Boscobel is still in first place, they are now first place by only a game in the SWAL. They are 9-1, and Cuba City now 8-2 in the SWAL.
Did she hit the home run?
It was actually cruiser, I believe. 17?
Yep.
Yeah. So 3-1, and our totals, let's see how fast my addition is. Well, that usually doesn't help at all. 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors for Cuba City. Cubans leave 7 runners on base. And for Boscobel, 1 run, just 2 hits, no errors. And the Bulldogs leave 5 runners on base, and they did not have a base runner after Grassel's intentional walk back in the 5th inning. So Guile gets the victory, retired the last 7 batters for Boscobel. The only home run, or the only run in the game for Boscobel, was the home run by Greta Grassel in the 3rd inning, and that stuck until the top of the 6th inning when Cuba City tied the game on a base hit by Nolan. And then at the top of the 7th inning, Cruiser's 2-run home run. And that is the result today. And it's time now for the Culver's Cool Down postgame show presented by Culver's in Dubuque, Goleta, and Platteville. Again, 3 runs, 9 hits, no errors, 7 runners left for Cuba City. And for Boscobel, 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and 5 left for the Cubans. And Guile again with a win. She gave up just 2 hits. And obviously just the 1 run. And let's see, she walked 4. And she struck out 9, I have. So Guile with a win, just 2 hits and 4 walks, struck out 9. Grassel with the loss, she gave up 9 hits, 3 runs. She walked just 1 and struck out, I had at least 10. Let's see, 1, 2. Grassel struck out 15 batters, but again gave up the 2-run home run in the top of the 7th inning. And we are now joined by Megan Rogeman, the Cuba City coach. And I have to think you are very pleased at this, especially the late inning magic that was the key to the win today.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the girls. They kind of, adjusted a few things at the plate, and they worked knowing that you're not going to get a lot of opportunities against a pitcher as, tough as Greta Grassel. So I'm proud of their approach, and they kind of battled all the way through to the end. Yeah,
they definitely did. Your team struck out 15 times, but on the other hand, they had 9 hits in the game, and it has to be a season high, I would think, against Grassel. And you guys got the big hits that you needed at the end. You got 3 hits, including the tying in the top of the 6th, and then the home run in the 7th.
Yeah, I'm just, again, really proud of the girls' approach at the plate. They gutted it out, right? We talk about having to grind, and it's 1 pitch at a time, 1 play at a time, and that's what they did. They stayed focused, and, thankfully the outcome came out the way it did for us tonight.
And the other thing that I have to believe you're happy with is your defense in this game. Didn't commit an error. There were some tough defensive plays. You did make them in the game, too.
Yeah, yep. I thought the girls did a nice job. I thought they communicated well. There were some in-between hits that easily could have fallen, but they did a nice job, and, they did a good job backing up Peyton on the mound.
All right, so the margin, they're still in first, but now the margin is just 1 game. You get to play them again in a week and a day, and they've got several games. You have several games open, so there's still a lot of softball to be played and a lot to be determined yet, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. This next week is going to be a grind and a battle, and again, any night a team in the SWAL can really go out and compete and beat anybody. So.
Okay. Well, congratulations with the win. Big win for you, obviously.
Yep, thank you very much.
And thanks for joining us. Megan Rogeman, the Cuba City coach. Cuba City beats Boscobel 3-1, and the margin for the Bulldogs just a game in the Southwest Wisconsin Activities League. And I suppose we should say the Tricor Turning Point, presented by Tricor Insurance. Insurance plans built for you, your family, and your business. Contact Tricor Insurance today. Gee, boy, you have to think really hard for this, don't you?
It's easy when the turning point is the most obvious moment of the game, and obviously that big home run by Cruiser, the 3-run home run. And, we talked about it on Friday, too, where, the Golden Eagles really, kind of wore down Greta Grasso as far as, having extended at bats and things like that. And it just really came down to putting the ball in play. And once Cuba City kind of felt more comfortable at the plate, it was obvious, these balls were starting to get launched. There was, we talk about the velocity of Greta Grasso pitching. The velocity of the balls that Cuba City was hitting was also, high speed as well. So, give credit where it's due. Cuba City definitely had to grind it out to come away with the win, and give Peyton Guile her credit as well, pitching for Cuba City, because she held Boscobel to just 2 hits, I believe.
That is correct. We're joined now by Corey Grassel, the Boscobel coach. Well, you're, I'm sure, not as happy as you were Friday, but it was another big game, obviously, for you guys, and just the usual Boscobel Cuba City game, right?
Right, yeah. No, a little disappointed in the outcome, obviously. One bad pitch and changes a game, but like I said before in the pregame, that they're a great team and they've got a lot of great athletes, and they know how to win and compete, and we can't come out flat and expect to compete in a game like this, and try to stay in it as long as we did, and we just didn't generate anything. We couldn't get anything sustained going, and just really didn't have a lot of runners. So
and only 2 hits. That's kind of amazing. And the funny part about it is we were watching the strikeouts accumulate, but no runs accumulated. And they got. Did you feel like Greta got tired in the 6th or 7th inning, 6th and 7th inning, or
maybe? I mean, she's thrown a lot of pitches, and asked her, on the end one, she said she didn't spin it very well and it didn't break as much as she'd hoped, and and it just kind of hung over the plate, and it happens. I guess probably a bad pitch call. I should have kept it inside, and I had her thrown outside, and just giving the girl a chance to get a bat on it, and she took advantage of it. She executed when she needed to, and I give her credit.
I would think one thing you're happy about, and we talked about this during the pregame, that you weren't impressed with your defense on Friday. Not necessarily errors, but there are a couple of key moments.
Right.
And you didn't have any errors in the game, so that's
no, and we still need to work on a few things, and I'm not overly excited with the way we did a few things today, but we'll get back to the drawing board on Wednesday and go back to work there, and hopefully we can make some adjustments in tomorrow's game and correct a few of those things too. So. And
you've got, it's not going to be an easy finish for you, obviously, because you have Mineral Point again Friday, and then you get Cuba City after playing Southwestern. You get Cuba City for the 2nd time, and regardless of how that happens, you have to play again because you got Darlington right after that. So, it's a challenging stretch.
Yeah. So I mean, over the next end of the week, you got 5 days, and we're playing, or 6 days, and we're playing 4 games. So it's not going to get any easier, and the weather this year just wasn't our friend, and a couple of these games should have already been played, and we'd already know where we're sitting a little bit better, but now we're I guess we just got to learn how to come out and play with a little more fun and not play so tense. I think that would help us too.
All right. Well, can't commiserate too long about it because you got tomorrow.
So.
And I am sure we will see you in the postseason. So good luck with that, and thanks for coming over.
Thanks for coming down. We appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you, Corey Grassel, Greta's dad, Corey Grassel, the Boscobel coach. Cuba City with a win today, 3-1 on the home run by Josie Cruiser with 2 out in the top of the 7th inning. Doesn't get more dramatic than that, obviously, and biggest win of the year. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say for the Cubans.
Well, again, this is kind of a measuring stick game to kind of see where you're at heading down the home stretch of the season, and with postseason just looming around the corner. And again, seeding meetings beginning on Wednesday, although as Coach Grassel said during the pregame show that we didn't get to air, that that the seating for their sectional is going to be on Sunday. So a very big win for Cuba City, and maybe one of those kind of gut check moments for Boscobel, trying to get things right before the postseason comes around the corner.
And before that, we've got baseball coming up again on Thursday, Lancaster and Prairie du Chien, and that'll be a 4:40 start from Prairie du Chien. We hope the weather holds. Actually, though, we have the capability of stopping the stream this time instead of my hour-long rain delay theater a few years back. We'll have that for you again Thursday at 4:40, on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Then coming up on Monday, Dodgeville and Cuba City in baseball, and that'll be a 4:10 start on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. And then Belmont and Highland, the rematch on Tuesday from Highland, and that'll be a 4:40 start on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. And then Thursday next week, it all starts the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Very curious to see how the seedings, play out, especially Division 5, like we said. 5 or 6 teams. I believe it's 5 around our area, or at least in the conferences that we cover, that are ranked in the top 10.
Yeah.
Very curious to see how they're going to be paired up and who's going to be seated where. It's going to be a fun finish for softball, especially in Southwest Wisconsin.
Most definitely it will. And the executive producers of Queen Bee Radio Sports are Mark Evenstad and R.J. Osterhaus. Tyler Dictanis, our producer. Good job, Brune Arledge. Johnny Page is our chief engineer. He didn't have to work today. That's good. Thanks to Edwin Boneski and the staff at Boscobel High School. Thanks to our sponsors who help us bring this game to you, and thank you for joining us. Grant Regional Health Center and People's State Bank coverage of high school softball, the Tim Slack Auction and Realty Softball Game of the Week, presented by Myers Heating and Cooling, the Myers Home Comfort Store, and Wolf Construction, is a Queen Bee Radio Sports presentation on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Josie Cruiser, the 2-run home run in the top of the 7th inning. Cuba City beats Boscobel in softball today 3-1. The Bulldogs are still in first, but by only 1 game in the SWAL. From the Wolf Construction broadcast table, for Tyler Dictanis, I'm Steve Prestegard. We will see you for baseball Thursday and postseason softball next week.